Jai Sriman Narayan.
Jai Sriman Narayan.
Jai Sriman Narayan.
I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Sri Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi, and I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you to the Sri Narayan Dham, physically present here. I welcome those that are watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally, and I welcome those that are going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups and YouTube subsequently. Our topic, Vishishtadvaita, is Absolute Vedanta, continues. I think we are in part 17. And we're going to discuss what philosophy is. Sita, going to discuss? Philosophy. Okay. And we're going to look at definitions and meanings of the various branches of philosophy. Generally, philosophy means the study of philosophy is a science whereby one studies and thinks in a process the philosophy is the science of understanding one's existence and also understanding how his existence is connected to material nature and the first principle. So philosophy is the science of understanding an individual's existence, the existence of material nature, and the existence of an intelligence beyond material nature. Sanatan Dharma is a system, an eternal system of philosophy which are laws that enable humankind to understand its own existence together with the existence of the first principle and the existence of material nature. This law governs the human as law governs the physical phenomena. And in Sanatan Dharma, this philosophy is called Vedanta. This philosophy is called Vedanta. In the West, there were many philosophers. Can you name a few? Socrates, Plato, Any more, Natasha? You didn't care about Western philosophers in your lifetime? Sita? You also didn't care about philosophers? Nobody in this Sri Narayan Dham cared about philosophers besides Vinita Beni. Are there philosophers in Sanatan Dharma? Who is the philosopher in Sanatan Dharma? Or who are the philosophers in Sanatan Dharma?
Lord Sri Ramanuj.
Who? Wrong. Sanatan Dharma does not have any philosophers. The only philosopher of Vedanta is Lord Sriman Narayan. The only philosopher of Vedanta is Lord Sriman Narayan. He is assisted by the 12 Mahajanas. Lord Narayan is assisted by the 12 Mahajanas. They are Brahma, the Sanat-kumaras, Pariksit, Maharaj, Lord Shiva, Yamaraj, and so for Narada Muni. These Mahajanas state what the Lord has already stated in His original philosophy, and they simplify the philosophy to make and give man a better understanding. To give man a better understanding. So the sole philosopher in Sanatan Dharma and the sole philosophy in Sanatan Dharma, the philosopher is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sriman Narayan, and the philosophy is Vedanta. Philosophy breaks into various branches. The science of knowing the soul is called ontology. Science of knowing the soul is called ontology. The science of knowing the first principle is called metaphysics. The science of knowing the first principle is called metaphysics. Cosmology is the science of understanding material nature. Epistemology is the validation of the absolute knowledge. And where is this absolute knowledge found? It's found in the Vedas. It's found in the 4 Vedas, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras, together with the Itihasas, namely the Ramayan and Mahabharat, and the Smritis, namely Manu Smriti. So these are the validated source of knowledge for the philosophy of Vedanta. Vedanta is the exclusive and only and absolute philosophy in Sanatan Dharma, and the only philosopher is Lord Sriman Narayan. The Vedas are not authored by anyone, including Lord Narayan himself. It is the very essence. Knowledge is the essence of God. Knowledge is the essence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The early sages and seers in ancient times, when they inquired into topics like, who am I? What is my purpose in this cosmos? What is this cosmos? And what is the intelligent principle behind this cosmos? What is the intelligent principle behind this cosmos? So Lord Narayan, from within the hearts of the great sages and seers, enlightened them, and this enlightenment has been compiled in the Upanishads. This enlightenment has been compiled in the Upanishads. So what was the essence in the nature of the soul, the cosmos, and the supreme principle prior to the Upanishads? Salena? What was the essence of knowledge prior to the Upanishads, prior to the Puranas? Prior to the Vedas being compiled, prior to the Bhagavad Gita, prior to the Mahabharat? What was the essence of knowledge?
Spoken.
Prior to the compilation of this knowledge, what was the absolute truth? Who discovered the law of attraction is equal to the law of repulsion?
Newton.
Who?
Newton.
Prior to him discovering this law, did that law exist?
Yes.
Yes, it always existed. It was just that in that point in time, he discovered it. It always existed. The angle of incident is equal to the angle of deflection. It was always there. If you throw a ball at this angle on the wall, it would deflect in the opposite direction, equal angle. It was always there. Before the law of gravity, if you threw something up, did it come down or not? Why? always existed. Similarly, when all these truths were embodied in the Upanishads and the Vedas, the truths as seen, the mantras as seen by the seers and sages of ancient times. Prior to the Vedas, prior to the compilation, they always existed because knowledge is eternal. It always exists. This material universe, material nature is eternal. It always exists, either in a gross form or a subtle form, but it continues to exist. So, in ascertaining in Sanatan Dharma that the philosopher is Lord Sriman Narayan, what is the rational deduction? What is the rational deduction in terms of philosophies?
It's the absolute philosophy.
What is the rational deduction in terms of philosophies?
It was always there.
That no other philosophy can stand. Did Lord Sri Ramanuj create or establish a philosophy? Can he be called a philosopher? Is Vishishtadvaita a philosophy created by Lord Sri Ramanuj?
No.
Again, what is the rationale behind this background?
100%. 100%.
Absolute.
So that means
Greatest and greatest.
there can be no other philosophy. Can there be any other philosophy?
No.
So if you're a practitioner of Sanatan Dharma, then your first principle will be Lord Sriman Narayan, and the source of knowledge will be Lord Sriman Narayan, because his very essence is knowledge. His very essence is knowledge, and that knowledge that is prescribed for humankind in Sanatan Dharma, that knowledge is called Vedanta. That knowledge is called Vedanta. So again, the philosopher is the origin and essence of knowledge, Lord Sriman Narayan, and that knowledge is called Vedanta. Hence, Vedanta has no author. Hence, Vedanta has no Because if somebody has to author knowledge, then what happens to the source of knowledge? Are you understanding? It was a bit too deep. Are you hungry? Did you come from work? Again, I want you to understand the rationale behind this background that I am delivering today. And the reason for this discourse, from this point of view, is that I was surfing the net and I got netted. Generally, I don't listen to discourses from anyone so that I don't have a prejudice in delivering my own discourse. So I do not listen to discourses by other gurus. And within this week, I went to YouTube and I typed in Vishishtadvaita. And I found a lot of our discourses together with some other discourses. And it's a mess. It's a mess how people have misconstrued Vedanta, how gurus have misconstrued Vedanta. And it is for this reason that I'm bringing Vedanta to its basics. I'm bringing knowledge to its basics. And I'm making you understand philosophy from its basics. So you will see that people are saying Adi Shankar formulated his own philosophy. Lord Sri Ramanuj formulated his own philosophy. Madhva Acharya formulated his own philosophy, and they give their background on these philosophies. So I want to clarify that Lord Sri Ramanuj did not create his own philosophy. Vishishtadvaita is eternal. Vedanta is eternal. Lord Sri Ramanuj re-established the purport of Vedanta called Vishishtadvaita. I want you to understand again, Vedanta, that is the absolute knowledge from the very being of Lord Sriman Narayan. That knowledge was re-established in the minds of humanity 1,000 years ago. Like I am re-establishing this knowledge in your mind. This knowledge is not lost. It's eternal. It's always there, but it is unknown to you. If something that is unknown to you, when it becomes known, it does not mean that when it became known to you, at that point, that knowledge took its birth. You understand? This knowledge exists, has been existing eternally. It means this knowledge got awakened or took its birth in you, in your mind, as you receive it. You understand? Lord Sri Ramanuj re-established absolute Vedanta through his purport called Vishishtadvaita, which exists eternally. This purport of Vishishtadvaita exists eternally because purport means true meaning of the verses. True meaning of the verses. Actual meaning of these verses. Sita. Are you in the dreaming philosophy? Sita? You in the real philosophy? Okay. Because I explained, some people had a dream, they got up the next day, they met a few people and they created a philosophy based on their dreams. Alright? This is absolute real philosophy, and every time I discuss this philosophy, Sita goes into a dream. Sita, this is a absolute philosophy. So to bring clarification when it comes to Vishishtadvaita, we are clarifying that Lord Sri Ramanuj did not create his own philosophy when he refuted the philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya, or when he refuted the Advaita philosophy and the Veda philosophy. The Advaita philosophy and the Veda philosophy. The Veda philosophy existed prior to Madhva Acharya. When Lord Sri Ramanuj refuted the Veda philosophy, Madhva Acharya had not taken his birth yet, but this philosophy was in existence, and Adi Shankar Acharya was not the originator of the Advaita philosophy. It existed prior to him. He brought it into perspective. He brought it into perspective. He established the philosophy of Advaita, and officially of Advaita, and Madhva Acharya officially established the philosophy of Dvaita. Both personally created and established philosophy as per their own understanding. However, the Vishishtadvaita purport is not per the personal understanding of Lord Sri Ramanuj. It is the re-establishment of Vedanta as spoken by Lord Sriman Narayan in his own words. Are you understanding now? So there is only one philosophy in Vedanta. Which philosophy you think? Now we use logic. Which philosophy you think will be the philosophy of Vedanta? Why? Because it was spoken by Lord Narayan. And there are only 12. Lord Narayan chose 12 Mahajanas to to assist him to distribute his philosophy through their own words. Lord Narayan chose 12 Mahajanas to assist him to distribute this philosophy through their own words. Namely, Parikshit Maharaj, Yamaraj, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the Sanat-kumaras. Did I miss out anyone? Narada Muni, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. Did I miss out any? Okay. I'll write it down on my next discourse. So besides these 12 Mahajanas, no one else is authorized to establish their own philosophy from Vedanta itself. No one else is authorized to establish their own philosophy from Vedanta itself, and you don't see Adi Shankaracharya named as the 12 Mahajanas, neither do you see Madhva Acharya named as the 12 Mahajanas. And then I'm going to give you a comprehensive description from the 12 Mahajanas itself. A comprehensive description from the 12 Mahajanas themselves, and the 12 Mahajanas does not contradict any injunctions as given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They do not contradict any injunction as given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. And this is Vedanta in its absolute form, Vedanta in its purest. Lord Sriman Narayan re-established Vedanta through the scriptures. Lord Sriman Narayan re-established Vedanta through the scriptures. He sat for 60 years. He placed in front of him 525 verses of the Vedas. He placed it in front and he synthesized it. He synthesized it without one verse contradicting another verse in any part, from the Puranas to the Pancharatra Agama to the Ramayan to the Mahabharat to the Brahma Sutras. He took all of this, he placed it. He didn't have a computer with spreadsheet. This verse, pop it there, 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 and then synchronize it. He did it the hard way. He took every verse, he understood it, he broke down its meaning, and he gave the rationale behind the verse. He also learned the philosophies of others. He mastered the differing philosophies. Then he mastered Vedanta. Then he rejected the differing philosophies with absolute scriptural injunction. You understand? So he didn't say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 and left it there. He showed how 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, and he showed the origin of 1 plus 1 and how they are equal to 2. He didn't just say it. And when you go to the origin of his purport of Vishishtadvaita, you'll find that everything comes from the Upanishads, the Vishnu Puran, the Mahabharat, the Ramayan, the Pancharatra Agama, and when you look at the laws in Sanatan Dharma and the Bhagavad Gita, the laws in Sanatan Dharma states that whenever you need to confirm, you must refer to these texts because they are the only authority. There is no authority above these texts that are mentioned in as authorized texts in Sanatan Dharma. So I just want to conclude this discourse with a reading from the Bhagavad Gita and see what Lord Narayan in his form as Lord Sri Krishna is saying in terms of what I have stated in this discourse. Okay? Let's see what the source of knowledge is saying in terms of what I have stated in this discourse. Sri Ramanuja Gita Bhashya, chapter 13, verse 3. Chapter 13, verse 3. And Lord Sri Krishna states, "Listen briefly from me what the field is, and what it is like, and what its modifications are, what purposes or purpose it serves, what it is, and who the self is, and what its powers are." I'm going to read it again. Listen briefly from me what the field is. When he says field, what does he mean? Field is the body, material, nature. The body is made up of material, nature. Listen briefly from me what the field is and what it is like, what its modifications are, what purpose it serves, what it is, and who the self is. Who is the self? Who the soul is, and what its powers are. Verse 4, and he states, "It has been sung by seers in various ways, in various distinctive hymns, and also in the well-reasoned and conclusive words of the Brahma Sutras." So, Lord Sri Krishna, who is none other than Lord Narayan himself, is now concluding in chapter 4 that whatever has been stated in the Brahma Sutras is conclusive knowledge. And in the Brahma Sutras, it has been stated that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material nature and soul exists as His attributes. As His attributes. And that is called Vishishtadvaita. And it is now concluded and cross-referenced from the Bhagavad Gita. So, how many philosophies are there? Only? And what is the name of that philosophy? Or the purport of that philosophy? Vishishtadvaita. There are no other philosophies in Vedanta. And if any other philosophies were created, then it does not fall in Sanatan Dharma, it falls out of Sanatan Dharma, because no one is allowed to create any philosophies, because Lord Narayan has all the capacity to create all philosophies. Jai Shri. Now sit down.